Hey everybody, this is Zach with Tanuki Games, and today we're taking a look at Yakuza 0. This is an exclusive for the PS4. Let's check it out. The Yakuza franchise has always had a difficult time getting a foothold in the Western market. There's always been some confusion as to what it offers that's different to other open world games. This is mostly due to the fact that the Yakuza series is far more Japanese than any other games on the market, period. It has created a dedicated following in the West. Now is the perfect time to get into the Yakuza franchise with Yakuza 0. Yakuza 0 is a prequel to the gangster drama and a standalone story. Newcomers are given a perfect opportunity to dive into Kamurocho, the fictitious Shinjuku-inspired setting of the series. Old hands of the series are given gentle nods to the previous games as well. The game takes place in 1988 Japan, the Gilded Age of modern Japanese society. With so much side content and a 30-hour campaign, Yakuza 0 can appeal to just about anyone who enjoys good combat, hot-blooded stories of betrayal, the 1980s, and some serious brodowns. The story of Yakuza 0 has been broken up into two playable characters, which has been the trend of the Yakuza games for a while. Kiryu Kazuma, who has been the star of the games, is just getting his start as a young gangster. He's framed for a murder he didn't commit, and the reasons for that become more complex as the story goes on. The second character is a fan favorite, Majima Goro. He's been gaining a more prominent role in the games recently, and for good reason. He's a pretty ridiculous character. However, in Yakuza 0, he's a much more restrained and refined person. His story involves him being asked to assassinate someone, but he can't do it. Having two characters serves a very functional role in the storytelling of Yakuza. Since the narrative is split, it also makes the narrative more concise. Also, with cliffhangers going back and forth between the two characters, keeps you motivated to see what happens next in both stories. Majima's story serves up a bit more comedy, while Kiryu's story embraces a stoicism that has been a hallmark of the Yakuza series. Majima is the perfect foil to Kiryu, and Yakuza 0 is no exception. The story should be experienced without giving too much away, but there's a lot of high drama and a lot of ups and downs throughout. Kiryu and Majima's stories are interrelated, but that won't be obvious until the following action. While the story hits some very good notes, it also is very engaging in the more mundane, slice-of-life ways as well. Moreover, there's a lot of baked-in Japanese culture that you can learn about through the story, and it's a good glimpse into their society and value system. The script for Yakuza 0 is very good as well. It's not a word-for-word translation, but an interpretation of what each character is trying to say. It's pretty funny too. This is especially true for the side missions. One thing that the Yakuza games are known for are lengthy cutscenes. These can go upwards of 30 minutes, and Yakuza 0 is no exception. The most logical comparison to another game series would be Metal Gear Solid, which also has lengthy cutscenes. However, many people play the Metal Gear Solid series for the story, present company included, but as a stealth game it's not that great. For example, Splinter Cell is a much better third-person stealth game. Not only does Yakuza 0 present an engaging long-form narrative, it's also an excellent brawler to boot. The gameplay in Yakuza 0 is much improved. While the beat-em-up style is still present, there are significant tweaks to the game. Now both Majima and Kiryu sport three distinct fighting styles, which can be switched during battle. Kiryu has the aptly named Brawler, a middle-of-the-road style. This is Kiryu's style in all the other games as well. Rush with quick combos, guard breaks, and the ability to dodge out of enemy combos. Rush prioritizes speed and reactivity over damage. Last there's Beast, where you can eat damage to give it. This is probably the least useful style because of its slow walk speed. Majima also has three styles. He has the well-rounded Thug with flashy and brutal attacks. Slugger, where he uses a dented baseball bat. This style is great for crowd control, but it can backfire. If Majima hits something with his baseball bat, he'll be sent into a slight stun state, leaving him open to damage. Last, there's Breaker, where Majima breakdances because it's the 1980s. This style does the least amount of damage, but it's also safer. Both Kiryu and Majima have extra unlockable styles as well. Each style can be leveled up. Cash is king in 1988 Japan, and instead of getting XP for fighting, you get cash. Every time you land a hit, cash is flying out of each delinquent, hooligan, drunkard, and Yakuza you pummel. You can then use the cash to level up your fighting style. This gives more moves to attack with, health, and the like. Kamurocho and Sotenbori are entertainment districts, and there are plenty of distractions as you run around. You can play classic SEGA arcade games, sing at a karaoke bar, dance, create a real estate empire, upgrade your hostess bar, go fishing, play crane games, and on and on. This has become a calling card of the Yakuza games, and this amount of extra content is awesome for getting you, the player, an immersive experience. While the game exposes you to some of these activities through the story, most of it you can run straight past. One of the unfortunate things about the Yakuza games has always been the lengthy delay between their Japanese and Western releases. This impacts how people perceive the games and the value that they bring. The graphical presentation of Yakuza 0 is great, especially when you consider that this game was released in Japan over 2 years ago. There have been marked improvements in the facial animations, the models have a high level of detail, and the random denizens of Kamurocho and Sotenbori look great. There is some ghosting, slowdown, and pop-in, but these are minor critiques. The game has been out for a long time though, so it seems unlikely that we'll receive any sort of further optimization. Both Kamurocho and Sotenbori feel cramped, crowded, glitzy, and dirty simultaneously. While many open-world games try to give you a massive map, Yakuza 0 gives you density and detail instead. Both playable areas have loads of small nooks and tucked-away streets to explore. One of the great things about Yakuza 0 is its time period and how it impacts its presentation. Since it's 1988, there are no LED lights and instead there are neon signs. This changes how the signs are presented, the color palettes, and etc. I love the ways this changes the familiar setting of Kamurocho. There are some nice effects given to Majima and Kiryu as their fists are flying into each and every nameless goon that they encounter. There are some particle effects around them as they fight as well. All of the money flying around can be very impressive. Graphically, Yakuza 0 delivers a well-rounded package, and the same can be said for the sound, music, and voice. The soundtrack of Yakuza 0 is probably my biggest disappointment. While I love the score, I was hoping to see some more 1980s J-pop deep cuts. That's a little unrealistic considering modern taste though. The soundtrack has some catchy guitar riffs, and when the game turns dramatic, there's some nice, understated electronic beats, and during fights, there are lots of driving bass lines. The thing that the soundtrack does so well is getting out of the way and immersing you in the game, instead of trying to be front and center with a full orchestra, which is the trend in many modern Western releases. The voice acting in Yakuza 0 is top shelf as well. The ambient sounds while running around in Kamurocho sound great too. Overhearing conversations while running down the street make it feel like it's a busy downtown area. As you run around Sotenbori and Kamurocho, you can hear pachinko parlors luring you in, or the crash of pins at bowling alleys. During battles, each bone-crunching blow Kiryu or Majima delivers sounds like their hands are packed full of dynamite. Another nice touch is that each combat style has its own theme music. The difficulty in Yakuza 0 is well balanced. I didn't experience many difficulty spikes. Playing the game on medium felt very enjoyable with sufficient challenge. You can change the difficulty anytime you want though. Beware, hand cramps may ensue during some of the longer fights or boss fights. The bang for your buck factor on Yakuza 0 is great and will only continue to grow as the game falls in price. It takes about 30 hours to complete the main story, and there's another 20 hours of post-game content. At $60, I feel like it's a great deal. I don't make it a habit to buy new games, but I wanted to play Yakuza 0 ASAP and show SEGA some support. The future of Yakuza was looking pretty bleak in Western audiences a few years ago. Yakuza 5 didn't get a physical release. The HD remaster of Yakuza 1 and 2 went unreleased in English, which was a big disappointment, because Yakuza 1 and especially 2 are not cheap or common games to find. The Samurai spin-offs never got released in English, and the PSP games went untranslated. More recently, it does seem that SEGA is ready to give the Yakuza franchise some more support. Yakuza Kiwami, which is the remake of the original game, will be coming out this summer. Yakuza 6 was confirmed to get an American physical release as well. There are even musings about remaking Yakuza 2 and re-releasing Yakuza 3 through 5 for PS4. I hope that Yakuza 0 will be a turning point for the franchise in the West. The Yakuza games have improved drastically over the years through iteration and not drastic change. Each one gets better at implementing engaging combat, telling stories that get you invested, and immersing you in the settings of the universe of Yakuza. Yakuza 0 is at the top of the heap in the long-running series. With tight combat, loads of side activities, and an engaging story, there isn't much that Yakuza 0 doesn't do right. Anyone with a fleeting interest in Japanese culture, gangster stories, and solid combat should play Yakuza 0. This is Zach with Tanuki Games. Please remember that a like, a comment, or a subscribe means a lot to me and of course the channel. Enjoy!